Thank you, Martin. Welcome, councillors, to this live streamed meeting of the Growth Scrutiny Committee at Bolsover District Council. This is a public meeting being streamed live to YouTube and via the council's website. If for any reason the public can no longer hear or see the meeting over the live stream, we will adjourn the meeting until the connection has been re-established. This meeting is also being recorded. Can the facilitator confirm who is in remote attendance at this meeting?
Yes, thank you, Chair. What I will do now is I will now read the members present in the meeting and ask each of them in turn to turn on their microphone when the name is called to confirm that they can see and hear the meeting, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. At the meeting this morning, we have got Councillor Jem Wilson, which is the Chair. Could you confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please, Councillor Wilson?
Yes, I can hear and see the meeting. Thank you.
We've also got present at the meeting this morning, Councillor Tricia Clough. Can you confirm if you can see and hear the meeting, please, Councillor Clough?
Councillor Tricia Clough, Alt Hucknall Ward. Yes, I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Also present at the meeting this morning is Councillor Tom Munro. Could you confirm if you can see and hear the meeting?
Good morning, Councillor Tom Munro, Whitwell Ward. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Also present at the meeting this morning, we have Councillor Jim Clifton. Could you confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Councillor Jim Clifton, Elton with Cresswell, can see and hear okay, thank you.
Also present this meeting, we've got Councillor Chris Kane. Could you confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Yeah, Councillor Kane, Charlotte North Ward. I can see and hear the meeting.
Also present, we've got Councillor Liz Smith. Could you confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Yes, hello, Councillor Liz Smith, Alt Hucknall Ward and Cabinet Member for Economic Development. I can see and I can hear you all. Thank you.
Also present this morning, we have Councillor Derek Adams. Could I confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Councillor Derek Adams, Bolsover South. Yes, I can see and hear the meeting. Thank you.
Also present, we have Councillor Tom Kirkham. Can I confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Yeah, Councillor Tom Kirkham, Alt Hucknall Ward. I can see and hear the meeting. Thanks.
Also present, we have Councillor David Dixon. Can I confirm whether you can see and hear the meeting, please?
Yeah, Councillor David Dixon, Barbara Ward, I can see and hear. Thank you.
Also observing in the meeting, we have Councillor Tracy Cannon. Also present in the meeting, we have Jonathan Hendy, Kath Drury, Christopher Fridlington, Grant Galloway, Ian Barber, myself, Liz Robinson, who is the governance facilitator for this meeting, Tom Scott, who is the clerk, and Joanne Wilson, who is the Scrutiny and Elections Officer. I'll now hand that back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now hand over to the facilitator to explain some of the procedures for the meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Before we start the meeting, members are reminded of the meeting etiquette that has been circulated to them. All members should have their microphones off during the meeting unless you wish to speak and you have been called on. Members attending remotely, please leave your cameras on during the meeting. Also, for remote members, to request to speak, please use the chat function to type speak or raise your hand on camera. The Chair will then call on you to speak during the discussion debate. When a vote is to be taken, this will be by show of hands. For those attending remotely, please ensure your hand is visible on camera. If any member is disconnected from the meeting, please try to rejoin as quickly as possible. If you have any technical difficulties, please contact one of the support officers assigned to this meeting in my email to you. If you are about to speak, the meeting will wait a few moments for you to rejoin. Chair, I will now hand back to you to start the agenda.
Thank you. I will now begin the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absence. I've had none. Are there any other apologies from anybody?
Chair, I haven't received any apologies.
Thank you. Item 2, urgent items of business. I have none. Have we any others, Joanne?
Not today, Chair, no.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of interest. As per usual practice, could I ask if there are any declarations of interest to be made at this meeting? I presume.
There's no declarations of interest to be recorded, Chair.
Right, thank you. I'm quite sure if anything crops up during the meeting, you will inform us. Thank you. Item 4, minutes of the last meeting, starting on page 5 of the agenda pack. We have the minutes from the 16th of December for approval. I'd like to move these as a true and accurate record of the meeting. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Tom Munro, second that. Could I ask for a show of hands for all in favour?
That's all in favour, Chair.
Thank you, everybody, for that. Item 5, list of key decisions. The link to the most recent list of forthcoming decisions can be found on pages 10 of the agenda pack and on the committee software system. Could I ask the scrutiny officer to brief members on the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. So there are a number of items on the current list of key decisions, one of which has already been covered through the January meeting of the executive, which was the medium-term financial plan. Members have already approved that at this stage. There then are a number of reports scheduled for February executive, one on housing enforcement and community safety. The contact officer for that is the head of housing management and enforcement, and portfolio holder for housing and community safety. There's then an item on the new build scheme for Sandy Lane and Thorpe Avenue in Whitwell. The contact officer there is the head of property services and housing repairs and the portfolio holder for housing. There's also an item on the discretionary grant funding, and the contact officer there is the assistant director of development and planning and the portfolio holder for economic development. I believe there are another number of key decisions that have also come forward since that point, Chair, but they aren't relevant to this committee. They were linked to healthy and customer service and transformation, and those chairs have been informed of that late item.
Thank you. So, do any members have any questions they wish to ask? In that case, then I would like to move that we note the report. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Tom Munro. Can I have a show of hands for all in favour?
That's all in favour, Chair.
Thank you for that. Item 6, corporate ambitions and performance targets. We will now consider the Q3 report reviewing performance against the new corporate ambitions and services indicators. We have the information, engagement and performance manager here today to present this report. Kath, would you like to begin, please?
Yes, I will do. Thanks, Chair. So as members have seen in the covering report, there are 11 council targets relevant to this committee for oversight. 9 of those are on track and 2 are overdue. And of the service indicators, there are 4 at this quarterly report stage. 3 have returned a positive outturn and 1 has a negative outturn. If I just pick out a few things on the appendix that are with the members in their packs, just to note that we have left ECO 02, the optimised business growth, as measured by gross business rates target. We've currently left that on track. Obviously, members will note from the update that it's actually showing a negative of £280,000. The target has got until March 23, so we're still very early on in the process of measuring this target. And members will probably recall that under the previous corporate plan, the council significantly grew its business growth by this measure. So it's one that we need to watch. And I think at the Q4 outturn, we'll get probably a little bit more information as to whether we think this is being affected in any way by COVID, but this is the actual business base. So it's not to do with collection of the business rates, which obviously is affected by COVID at the moment. It's actually how many businesses are registered within the district, how many businesses we're actually billing for business. So it's one that we'll keep a watch on going forward. And then you'll note we've got a couple that we've marked up as overdue, but not anything that we've got any concerns over. So Eco 04, the new housing strategy, originally was intended to be done and dusted by the end of January, but you can see from the update it's going to exec in February. So obviously a bit of slippage there, but nothing of concern. And I know Scrutiny have been involved in the consultation of that strategy. And the other one that we've marked up as overdue is a new empty property strategy, 07. And once again, that's out for public consultation now. So that's a little bit of slippage again, but once again, nothing of concern there. And everything else looks okay. And number 8 of the Environment 108, bring 5 empty properties back into use per year. You'll note from the update there's quite a lot of activity on that one, which is good to see. But I don't think all those properties will come on board before the end of this financial year. So I think it probably won't achieve the target this year, but it's good to know that there's things coming through in the calendar year. So once again, it's one to watch. And then moving on to the service indicators, just the planning ones this time. We'll report some wider ones at Q4, because as you'll probably recall, we've got some 6 monthly targets that we've been forward to this committee. On the planning ones, everything looks okay there, all above target. The one below target is the new indicator determining discharge of condition applications within national target deadlines. And you can see the target is 80% and the outturn is 52. There was a question asked at pre-meet, which hopefully that information's been shared with you. The question was around what are the penalties associated with non-compliance with that target and why are we so below the target? Is there any explanation? Following advice has been shared with the committee. So the target is only a locally set target. So it's not one the planning department report back nationally, and there is no penalty for non-compliance. The target's been set by the planning manager to allow her to monitor performance. So it's a new target to enable her to do that. And obviously, as we know, you tend to improve what you measure. That's obviously providing the new planning manager with information on this target going forward. And then the other information she provided was that these relate to the types of applications where, due to their nature, there's a lot of going back and forth with consultees on very bespoke technical matters. So I think you're getting into the nuts and bolts of things with these types of applications. So that's why there's probably some slippage on these. And as you can see from the other indicators, priority obviously goes to the applications and the things that we have to do for statutory purposes. So hopefully that's given extra explanation to the committee around that indicator. And that concludes the report, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to move the recommendation.
Chair, Councillor Tom Munro would like to ask a question, please.
Right, sorry, Tom, would you like to come in, please?
Thank you very much indeed, Chair, and thank you very much for your report, Kath. Can I just, as a bit of supplementary information on ENV 08, the first one, the top one, Action Housing, tenants are now actually in. As far as I know, out of the 5 apartments, at least 4 are occupied. And I think if it's possible, Kath, for you to speak to the empty properties officer who's arranged or worked closely with Action Housing, it would be really nice to give some positive feedback to Action Housing, thanking them for getting those occupied, especially in this very difficult time of a lockdown. Given that they were ready just before Christmas, they've actually got them occupied by the second week of Feb. I think that's some significant achievement on their part. And I think it's important to maintain our good relationship with that particular company who've done a vast amount of work across our district, bringing old properties back into really good quality accommodation. If you could do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's absolutely fine, Councillor Munro. I'll feed back straight after the meeting.
Yeah, thank you again for that. Are there any other members wishing to ask a question? Derek Adams, would you like to come in, please?
Thank you, Chair. Kath, down Carvale, we had a couple of properties taken over by Action Housing and done up to a very nice standard. A few months ago, we had a drug war down there and some windows got broke. And they've got boards now on the windows where the glass used to be. And apparently it's been fed back to me, it's up to the tenant now to pay for the replacement glass. Can you shed any light on that or find out from me if that's correct?
Yeah, I mean, I can by all means raise that query and clarify whose responsibility it is and feed that information back to you, Councillor Adams.
Yeah. What annoys me, you see, it's the first two houses you see as you go into Carvale. One's on top of Northview Street and the one on Main Street. So the first two you see, and they boarded up.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. It's not not a good advert, is it? And it's not.
No, not at all.
What we want to show. Yeah.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. And is there any other questions, Joanne, from any members?
I can't see any other questions wanting to be asked, Chair.
Right, thank you. So I'd like to thank you and move the recommendations at point 6 within the paperwork on page 12 of the papers. Can I have a seconder, please?
That's Councillor Derek Adams, Chair.
Thank you. Could I have a show of hands for all in favour?
That's all in favour, Chair.
Right, thank you everybody for that. Could the facilitator oh, we've done that. Thank you, Kath, for presenting the report. You are free to leave the meeting.
Thank you.
Item 7, draft Bolsover Tourism Strategy Revised Consultation Draft. We now move to item 7, where we have the Assistant Director of Development and the Tourism and Town Centre Officer joining us to present. Members will recall that we received an initial draft of the document in July last year. This is a revised document following further work and consultation. If you could pass over to Chris and John, please.
All right, thank you, Chair. I'm going to let John Handy give a brief presentation for us. It sort of summarises what we've received in consultation, perhaps a little bit of how we've reacted or responded to the feedback we've got from this committee previously, and a little bit about what the next steps are. So I'm going to pass over to John in the first instance, and he'll probably take a few minutes just to give you an overview of where we are, where we're going to next, and the changes that we've made since we last spoke. I think that was sometime in July, perhaps. So that feels like quite a lifetime away now, doesn't it? But we have made a lot of progress since we last spoke. So I'll pass over to John with no further ado. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chris. Yes, this obviously this strategy was presented to Scrutiny Committee in July last year. And the comments made then have been taken into account along with other factual updates. Obviously, we have a corporate target to improve tourism by working with partners to grow the visitor economy, the number of tourists and the amount of tourism spend in the district. And the draft strategy sets out how we will achieve these objectives. The main thrust of the strategy remains unchanged. We're seeking to increase overnight stays and more visitor spend and encourage residents to be ambassadors for the district, encourage more visits from friends and relatives. National trends indicate a growing demand for short breaks, and this strategy is more pertinent now than ever when we are expecting to see a large increase in staycations this year. And to help achieve the strategy, the council needs to work alongside its partners to improve the overall visitor economy offer, improve the accommodation offer, maximise our marketing potential and improve the visitor economy business engagement. The actions include making the most of the district's excellent accessibility as a central part of a wider area to enhance its attractiveness as a short break destination. The strategy includes a new chapter on accessible tourism that seeks to assess how accessible Bolsover is as a tourist location. And this is important because this not only allows greater access to tourist sites for a greater number of people, I think more than 1 in 5 potential customers are disabled, but it also helps to open up an untapped market. Currently, Visit Britain estimate that accessible tourism is currently worth 15.3 billion to the UK economy. And research shows that businesses can potentially benefit from longer stays and more spend from a group of visitors where one member of the party has a disability. The chapter looked at attractions from around the country where accessible tourism is highly rated, and then it looks at the accessibility information on the websites of the attractions within Bolsover district. And overall, there are plenty of accessibility features at our main 3 attractions to encourage visitors with different impairments. However, from the information available, they are still perhaps not quite at the same standard as some of the best examples around the UK. For example, none have a change in places toilet. There are no quiet hour visiting times or specific days for certain impairments. Although assistance is available, there's no such service as like an extra pair of hands available. And perhaps finer details are not as obvious or maybe understated. And from what I observed, websites do not offer a sensory story describing what guests can expect to see, smell, hear or feel, or whether any British Sign Language or subtitled videos. We think there's a clear role for the District Council to help promote awareness of these issues and to use its communication networks to help to do that, so that not only will the district become more accessible, but the local economy can also benefit. And the following actions are proposed: to promote and encourage bids to the Changing Places Fund for Changing Places toilets, to promote the use of Visit England accessibility guides to all attractions, to promote the Marketing Peak District and Derbyshire grant scheme for improving accessibility facilities and hospitality venues and attractions, and to undertake measures to try to improve local information gathering from local disabled communities. And to help to do this, we'll consult with the Council's Equality Panel and set up a bespoke survey using the Ask Derbyshire website aimed at those people who identify as being disabled. We'll also continue to liaise with Accessible Derbyshire to help promote awareness, including new grant schemes, initiatives, and training events about accessibility to both businesses and residents who we are encouraging to be ambassadors for the district. Indeed, as Accessible Derbyshire mentioned in their response to the consultational strategy, they are supportive of the strategy and that they have a 2-year project with Marketing Peak District in Derbyshire and are keen to link up with our network of tourism businesses in the district and offer support and training. So as mentioned, we've consulted again on this revised strategy, and some of the main points received are as follows. Derbyshire pony trekking near Poulters Country Park consider the strategy should have more references to horse riding and horse riding holidays, which they say have been on the increase as a result of the pandemic. I agree we could add more references to this. Also, the Countryside Partnership would like a short, concise summary of the Visit, Sleep, Cycle, Repeat destination plan. And there is one, paragraph 8.2, under the Improving the Visitor Offer section. They would also like to see more of the district's countryside offer included, and we have added a new paragraph 2.3 about the district's environmental assets, which came as a result of this committee last July. Following comments from the Council's conservation team, we will include as an action to develop a sub-strategy for heritage tourism in Bolsover Town. And Courtyard Kitchen, a business located in Bolsover Town, have inquired about a tourist information centre in the town. I think this is something that can be looked into. Other comments received provide factual updates and were gratefully received. But we still hope to receive further comments from Clown Parish Council, Derbyshire County Council, Marketing Peak Districts in Derbyshire and Hardwick Hall. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Councillor Munro's indicated he'd like to speak, so can I bring him in, please?
Yes, Councillor Tom Munro, Whitwell Ward. First of all, John, thank you very much for your report on your report. I've read through it with great interest, and there are a number of issues I just want to bring to your attention that are, to a certain extent, are updates, and to other extents are questions. And then I want to just ask some general points that yourself or Chris might want to comment on. First of all, on page 27, as we have it, so that's section 2.5, John, I wondered, first of all, under 2.5, should village well dressings be added here? Because I know for a fact that, for example, Polterton, they have a well dressing, Whitwell does a well dressing. I think other villages in the Bolsover district, Derbyshire villages, do well dressings, and the dates for those tend to be quite set in stone. Obviously, with the pandemic, they've not taken place last year, but they surely will take place in the years to come. And I know, for example, the Whitwell one is always around the first Saturday and the week following it of July. So that information is easy enough to get hold of, and it's either through Scouts and Guides or through the local church that you could get that information. So that's the first point. Also at 2.4, given the phenomenal changes in the shape of retail, will you need to update that list? Because I suspect some of those companies have now either gone to the wall or been taken over by other companies and changed their names. So you might need to update that. I hope that's helpful. Moving on, if I may, you make reference, at 6.3, where you talk about the link between the Crags and Harley Gallery and Welbeck. Can I tell you that since you wrote this report, the Notts County Council have got on alongside, I presume, contractors employed by Welbeck Estates, and have actually made a phenomenal job to date on the link between the Crags car park going down to the main road, crossing the main road. They're putting a proper crossing, and Notts County Council Highways will support it with new road signage. And they're well on the way to building the path across their own land, Welbeck, and linking up to the Harley Gallery. And that's a really positive move, which links what's principally a Derbyshire attraction or a Bolsover attraction up Cresswell Crags to Harley Gallery and Welbeck Farm Shop, etc., etc. Much to be applauded, in something, wearing another hat, i.e. as a trustee of Cresswell Crags, we've all been wanting to happen for a very long time. So that's just an update. And then just a general comment, if I may, and that is on the whole flavour of the need to cooperate with neighbouring authorities. It strikes me that we need to be as open and cooperative with Bassett Law, the Mansfield districts, etc., because this is the area we want people to come to, not necessarily the Derbyshire Peak District. And it is a different product. We are offering a very different product in many ways to what's being offered in the Derbyshire Peak. What we're offering is a much more interesting historical offer in many ways, and it's a much more varied offer, but we need to work really closely with all the surrounding districts. For example, if you look at the example of I only just really, in a sense, I mean, I've walked it before, but I've rediscovered Shirebrook Wood. Now, Shirebrook Wood is literally just outside Bolsover district, right? If somebody had drawn a map a bit better originally, it'd be part of Bolsover district, because it's the old, if you like, it's the old Shirebrook Colliery pit site that years ago was developed into this delightful woodland, and is a lovely country park where you can go across the railway line and link into Plesley Vale, etc., etc. So it's actually now on the other side of the line. So it's, I presume, in Mansfield and Sherwood. So that's why we need, I feel, to take a really positive, cooperative approach and almost say to our partners in the more immediate area, neighbouring authorities, is there some mileage in preparing a tourism plan that actually represents all of us and focuses on this particular part of the country, taking all the authorities together. So I just sow the seed. Sorry, I've gone on a bit, but obviously I've read it in great detail and I was fascinated by it. And it's, on the whole, it's a really positive document. Thank you for that, Chair.
Thank you. Would you like to respond? Oh,
Councillor Kirkham would like to ask a question, Chair.
do you want me to bring Councillor Kirkham in first, right, and then the officer can answer all the questions at one go? I didn't know whether the officer wanted to report, comment on Tom's questions.
I can answer Tom's questions now.
Thank you. I think, yeah, that's perfect by me. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I say happy to include references to the well dressings, and that's something we have actually inputted every year to Marketing Peak District in Derbyshire, their website. So the well dressings have gone on, not last year, but in previous years. And as we know, the dates of them this year are a bit uncertain at the moment, but we can certainly reference those in the strategy. Yes, we'll certainly again reference the progress made in joining Harley Gallery to Creswell Crags. I can see myself the progress they've made on the path there, so we can add a bit more onto that section. Again, yeah, I'll check through the list of the retailers and see that they're all actually still open. Well, not open at the moment, but and yes, I said the idea of working with neighbouring authorities, that is, again, something that's kind of at the sort of heart of the strategy, to see ourselves as part of a wider area, and to help use what's around us to help also sell the district as a tourism destination.
Yes, thank you for that.
Chair, you've got Councillor Tom Kirkham and Councillor Liz Smith that would like to ask questions, please.
Thank you. Councillor Kirkham, would you like to come in, please?
Yeah, unless Liz wants to add on to what Jonathan was just saying. I don't know if she did or she didn't.
Yeah, I was just going to sort of reinforce, the sort of the whole basis of this report to Tom. Actually, when I first read the very first draft, I said, well, we really need to consider how we're going to get people to stay here for long, because that's what brings the money to the district. These visitors that actually stay overnight or for several nights bring in more than 4 times more to the economy, which helps everybody. It creates jobs, it does all sorts of wonderful things. So how do we get them to stay longer? And the way you get them to stay longer is you give them more to do. And you can only give them more to do if you look wider. And that's why, in this report, there are things you can do within an hour of here. There you can make this your base. You can do Robin Hood Country. You can do Chatsworth in the Peak District. You can go as far as, I don't know, Wakefield and go to the fabulous museum there and see the Henry Moore sculptures. You can go to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park. Really, that's what the basis of this report is. We're a fantastic base. Come and stay. We know that those people therefore bring more money to the district. And really, I was very keen, and I support absolutely everything you're saying, Tom, that this is the way this report should go. We're not just one district on our own. We are here to do a whole lot more and to access a whole lot more area and make people stay longer. Okay, so that's why there's lots in there about what you can do at least an hour away. We've got a list of all the Michelin-starred restaurants that are, within an hour away. We've got a list of all the heritage attractions you can see, all the galleries and things like that you can do. So it's not just about Bolsover District. You're absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Kirkham, would you like to come in now?
Yeah, thanks, Jen. I'd just like to make a point about, we talked about it in the last meeting about LELEP rewriting their strategy and putting into it a lot of green stuff, particularly around electric vehicles. And Chris, I know, has done a lot of work on EV charging points, and EV charging points are an ideal way to bring people off the M1, which spans our district, into our high streets effectively, so they can do local shopping and things like that. So it's a good way of getting people who are visiting Hardwick Hall. Maybe they could drive into Tib Shelf, put the car in a car park, charge it for an hour or two and get something to eat and do a bit of shopping. I think if we can put a bit more about the green ambitions for Bolsover in that document, I think it'll align us well with the LEP, but it'll also strengthen our commitment to be a more of a rounded offering and keep people within the district. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Tricia Clough would like to ask a question, please.
Yeah, would you like to come in, Trish, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, John, for this report. Really enjoyed reading that. I've got a couple of points, really. One is to do with actually where we live at the moment. And when we go down to Dale Lane in Rowthorne, there's a lot of work going on there for the footpath, for the trail. Now, that's going to be great when it's finished, but unfortunately, it's creating, the lorries are creating a lot of stress factors on the roads, and a lot of the residents are complaining about potholes and their cars getting damaged. And I'm not quite sure whose responsibility that will be to repair those. My second point is to do with motorhoming, because I was a keen motorhomer. And very often we'd go from A to B, and if we came across a particular spot and we found there was lots to do there, we would stay for quite a significant amount of time. And I just wonder if any sites have been identified yet, new sites, but not only that, how the council intend to support those current sites that we have within the district, so that they've obviously suffered during COVID, and how we can support them as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think with the hospitality, hotel, B&Bs, they've got quite, or had received quite a lot of financial support. Maybe not enough, but they've certainly been either through revenues and benefits, their schemes, or through our own discretionary grant funding, or through open schemes. There's been quite a lot of grant funding available to them to sort of hopefully tide them through and get them through this period where they shut. Obviously ourselves and Marketing Peak District and others are sort of fully behind trying to kickstart their reopening when that comes along. But quite clearly, until the restrictions are cleared and until we've got the industry open again, then it's going to struggle. So I think the important thing about this strategy is, whilst John's been preparing it, he has been working through the actions on it as well, and we keep in touch with all the businesses, and we try and sort of get to a position where when we are reopen, our tourism businesses are ready to go. I think in your early comments about the roads, that would be county council, incidentally, if it's affected a public highway. There's a lot of frost damage and ice damage on the roads anyway at the minute, I've noticed. But yeah, going forward, I think it does feel to me as though there's, and John might tell me differently, that there's a lack of provision for things like caravans, tourers, campsites within the district. There's an element of, until things open up, there's not a great deal you can do to push that forward, other than, again, you know, the policies are there in planning that allow for it. We do try and support those when they come into planning for applications, but it might be that we need a bit of a critical mass and a bit more of a push on the tourism strategy, and get people like John's had the Derbyshire trekking people onto him about horses. Now, you know, maybe they've got some land. Maybe it's being a bit more proactive and saying to them, well, have you got anywhere where you can put these people on your land? So obviously, if you're going to bring horses to the district, you're going to need to bring your horse lorry or your horse trailer. And where are they going to park? You know, so there's that element to it. And just to pick up on what Councillor Kirkham said, I think it is about that holistic offer, isn't it? Looking around, greening some of the stuff. Have we got electric charging points? Like John said quite a bit in his presentation about accessibility. Have we got accessible venues? Have we got places where you can park? Have you got places that promote and encourage sustainable use of electric chargers? So there's a lot going on. I think it's important to stay at this stage rather than go on and on about it. It is very much a living document. It's not set in stone. That's it. That's what we're doing for the next 5-10 years. It's something that adapts and changes as the industry changes, as new things come forward. So I'm hoping that has answered your question, Councillor Clough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clough.
Thank you, Chair. Just to point out that we toured extensively in New Zealand, and we were given a little booklet when we were touring about people who were willing to let us stay on their drives for a nominal charge. Sometimes it was maybe just $1. And I wonder if there was maybe an opportunity to open that for people. And it would combat loneliness for some people as well, having people coming and staying on their drives.
Thank you for that interesting point, Tricia.
Chair, Councillor David Dixon would like to speak, please.
Yes, would you like to come in, David, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, great report. Again, like so many, it really is very, very good. And I think because this year, because of COVID, I think a lot of people are going to be, when it does eventually open up, a lot more people are going to be touring around the UK this year, and maybe even next year for and curtailing holidays abroad. So yeah, there's a great opportunity for us there. And then just one point, and I'm being picky here, but if you go to the back of it where it gives distances to various places, and I certainly look from areas from Junction 30, which is 400 metres away from me, and I look at some of the distance, they've been so over-egged. I don't know where these numbers have come from. You know, I take a particular Renishore from here is 3 miles, you've got down 7. Meadowhall is 15 miles away, you've got it down as 20. The old Vicarage, Ridgeway, 6.5 miles from here, you've got it down as 16 mile. So I think these numbers need to be just reviewed. And I'm sorry that I am being picky, but yeah, it looks as though they've all been over-egged. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, just on the point of the numbers, I think the numbers are the time it takes from the somewhere near the motorway junction to the attraction, and it's the time it takes rather than mileage.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the point we need to clarify. That isn't it?
It does say
if that's the situation, John. Yeah. Yeah, we'll pick that up, Councillor Dixon, because I think it's important to make sure we've got that right or clearly clarified. But yeah, I can see if we put distance when we actually meant time taken, then that would make sense, because obviously, as Councillor Smith said, that was the idea, to sort of give people an idea of how long it would take to drive from X to Y rather than specify a mileage. So we'll get that sorted out. Thank you for raising that.
Right, thank you.
If I may, Chair,
I have actually got Jim Clifton first, but is it
can
to
I
do
just
with?
on that point, if I could just come back on that point.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, Jim. Just that if you are going to revise it, then I would suggest you have both columns in, distance and time taken. Sorry, Chair.
No, it's fine. Yep. Are you all right with that now, officer? And I'll move on to Jim Clifton, please. No.
Yeah, that's fine. Fine.
Jim, your microphone's off.
I'm okay, thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did anybody else wish to make any more comments on this?
No one's indicating to comment, Chair.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this debate. It's been very interesting, and we've learnt a lot of points in different areas that's been risen, and I'd like to thank the officers for their time and their interest in our district and looking after it for us. So, Tom, did you want to come in again?
Yes, I hate to be a bore, but there's some recommendations on page 20, which I'm happy to move.
Right, thank you. Could I have a seconder, please?
Sorry.
I'll second that, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Right, show of hands, all in favour?
That's all in favour, Chair.
Thank you, everybody. That's lovely.
Chair, can I just make a point on this item? I'm sorry, I hadn't realised, I hadn't seen it. We've got Clown Down as a market town, and you're right, it hasn't got a market at the moment. However, I can say that Parish Council have now approved for a market to be tried out once COVID restrictions have been lifted.
Right, thank you.
On a trial basis.
Right. Joanne?
I think that completes that item, Chair.
Right, so
Following that.
we'll move on to the next item, which is item 8.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. So item 8 is our work programme commencing on page 83. Joanne, are you bringing us in on this?
I am, Chair. I was just waiting for you to get to
Definitely.
wherever you needed to get to. I could hear you turning your statement.
Good. You know, I'm not going to sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So members will be familiar with this report. It's just outlining our work programme for the remainder of the year. We've only got 2 meetings now for the remainder of this year. The next one will be on the 15th of March. If I could just remind members, this is a change date from the original date. And we are actually running that in the afternoon at 1 p.m. So if you could please make sure that you've got that in your diaries. You should have an appointment that's come through from governance, but just please register that change of date and time there. And hopefully at that meeting, we will be having a report from Chris Fridlington on a final version of the business growth strategy. Members will recall we looked at an initial draft of that in January, and we're hoping to get the final version at that next meeting. We then have a final meeting on the 12th of May, where we'll be looking at Q4 performance. And that'll conclude the meeting schedule for the current municipal year, and then we'll be moving on to look at our meeting schedule for the new municipal year following the elections in May. If members have any particular comments in that or ideas for items within the new municipal year, I'm quite happy to take those now, or you can drop me an email following the meeting.
Thank you, Joanne. Does anybody wish to comment or add to anything or ask anything?
No one wishes to comment, Chair.
Right, thank you. So, Joanne, at this point, where have we got to?
We just need to move the recommendations on page 84, Chair.
Right, so could I have a mover, please?
Councillor Dixon, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Chris Kane's seconding it.
Yeah.
Can I have a show of hands, all in favour, please?
That's all in favour, Chair.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance and all the input that we had into this, and hope you'll all keep safe and well, and your families as well, and look after yourselves, and we'll all speak to each other as soon as possible. And